Good morning, everybody. Charlie here with Red Summit RF. Today I am resuming my series on portable Morse Code paddles. Welcome back to those of you who have been following along on this series, and if you're new, I welcome you and hope you will find these useful. Today we are reviewing the Begali Duel-Lever Key, the Begali Adventure Duel-Lever Key. Before we jump into the review, I want to remind you to check out the comments below this video and other videos, because people who are experienced leave comments there as well, and that supplemental information might be helpful to you in choosing a Morse code paddle. I borrowed this paddle from my friend John KJ7IGZ, and I want to thank John for letting me do this. I've had his paddle now for 2 or 3 months. I really appreciate him letting me borrow it, and so he's a friend of mine that joins me often on my Summits on the Air activations. If you are just starting out your Morse code adventure, you may not have heard of Begali. Begali is a family-owned business out of Italy. They take great pride in producing high-quality paddles. Many argue they're the best in the business. I recently interviewed Bruna Begali, and you can check out that interview right up here. And she had a great interview on my channel, and if you want to find out more, that might be the place to go. So with that, let's go ahead and get to the bench and start talking about this paddle. Okay, here we are at the bench. At the time of this recording, the price of this paddle was listed at 268 euros plus 32 euro shipping from Italy. And since I did not purchase this paddle, I don't know exactly how long it takes to ship. However, my friend Brian, W7JET, ordered the sibling of this paddle, the Adventure Single Lever, and he said that he received it in about 2 weeks. If you go to the Begali website that I have listed in the comments below, you get a short description of the paddle or the key with a picture of it on the magnetic desktop base. The website states that the paddles are made from different materials based on the parts, from stainless steel base to lightweight aircraft aluminum alloy for the paddle arms, and to the solid gold contacts and other things. In my interview with Bruna, she talks about the machining process that they go through to produce the keys that they make. And she also talks about the process of the parts that they acquire and what the quality is of them and how they assemble those, or she just talks about what they use to assemble the Begali paddles. The parts and the machining process is of the highest quality. So this key weighs 88 grams. And when you compare it side by side with the Pico Palm, you'll see that they're pretty comparable. In fact, if you look at the length, it's pretty darn close. And then side by side, you'll see that it's also, the height is pretty good, pretty similar too. The only difference would be this nut down here and the width of these paddles. To make adjustments to the contact spacing in this key, you can use this post right here, which Begali describes as an oval backstop. Tension is adjusted by turning this thumb screw here on the bottom, which modifies the magnetic force of these levers. When I asked Bruna about adjustments, she said they take great care at the factory to set all these paddles to the ideal spring and tension settings ahead, and that most people don't really require adjustments after receiving them from the factory. But she says that they are adjustable, and actually she encourages people to reach out to the local contact that they have, Jim Hogue, W5QM, if they want to help with the adjusting of these. This paddle comes with several mounting options. Begali sells mounting brackets for the KX1, KX2, KX3, and FT817, and they also offer a desktop base. These options are a separate purchase, and here I have one of the mounting options. This is the KX2 mounting option. So you can see it has these screws that attach just like the key in the KX2 does. And then there's this thumb screw that goes in the bottom here, and it attaches right here, and you can just set it to go at any angle. Also, I have with me the FT817 mounting bracket, and same concept. There's the thumb screw in the bottom, and you would add it right here like this, and you can put it at any angle. And how this attaches to the FT817 is, see that little lip right there? That goes right in here. If I can get it in. There. Like that. And then you tighten down this thumb screw right here, and you're in business. It's mounted to the side of the FT817. Also, let me provide a picture of what Brian W7JET uses for his mounting options. He uses a leg strap with a metal plate, and he actually uses the desktop magnetic mount and puts that on his leg, and he says he swears by it. He says it's an absolute dream to operate that way. As I mentioned earlier, the contacts are made out of solid gold, and there's contacts right in here. And the recoil uses magnets, and that's how you adjust it. I initially ran into a problem with the paddles on SOTA activation, where I was sending unwanted dits. I'd be sending, and when I'd push the dit side here, this left side, it would send dits after I let go. It turned out that the bottom screw needed to be adjusted a little to get that recoil correct, and so you might want to look into that if you run into the same problem. After that adjustment, I had no problems at all with this paddle, and the agility was the best I've ever experienced. I have these really tight. When I'm squeezing them, you can hardly tell that they're moving, but they are. The key comes with a cable already built in, and it looks pretty nice there how it's just kind of carved out. I find the cable to be just a little too short for what I like to do. It's probably long enough for what most people do, how they operate, but I like to hold my paddle in my hand, and when I'm operating, and have the radio far away from me. So this cable just isn't long enough. I can just get an adapter, but most people probably use the mount, one of the mounts, and it's really not going to be a problem at all for the length of the cable. To purchase these paddles, you have two options, really only one, but the primary option is to purchase them from the website. Like I said, they come in about 2 weeks, and customer service from that website is fantastic. If you want to forgo the shipping costs and also try out the paddle before you buy it, you could do so at Dayton Hamvention. And that's what I plan to do this coming year. I know this isn't an option for most viewers, but if you are already planning on attending, then it might be worth it to hold off and purchase it when you get there. Okay, here we go. I'm going to move these brackets aside here, and we are going to give this paddle a grade. I remind everybody that these are my own thoughts and based on my own experiences, and so it may vary. Your experiences may vary, and that's okay. I'm just going to tell you based on how I've used this paddle now, this Begali key for numerous outings. I would say 10 or more. Let's go ahead and start first off with the cost. And how do you grade the cost of a Begali, right? So it's purely a function of whether you can afford the paddle in some cases. If that's the case, then the grade would be like average or maybe even low depending on your financial status, right? So if you're just looking at purely at the your affordability based on your income or whatever. But if you believe that cost is a function of the value of the product you receive compared to the cost, taking into account quality of the product and the customer service, then the grade might be high. And in fact, that's how I tend to grade, not just based on affordability, because it's such a wide range it could be. So, but my opinion, based on the quality of this paddle, I'm going to give it an A, because even though it is quite expensive, I think it's worth the cost. And so an A for the cost of this paddle. Durability, as I mentioned earlier, stainless steel base here. And then these levers are a alloy, airplane alloy, and then the gold contacts inside. So it's made of really good parts. I mean, high quality. As I mentioned earlier, Bruna and her other coworkers, they source parts that are really high quality, and that's important to them. So I'm going to give A on the durability. As far as the weight of the key goes, it's a little bit heavy for portable use. I think kind of. I mean, it's all relative to what you want to pack, but for most people, it probably wouldn't be a deal breaker and probably not a big deal. But there are those out there who try to cut every gram or ounce out of their pack, and these paddles are pretty heavy compared to some of the others that we've looked at. So 88 grams compared to the 31, I think it was. When it comes to the size of this paddle, I pretty much compare it to the Pico Palm. Its dimensions are quite a bit different in a way, but I would think that if you kind of looked at it overall, it probably fills about the same amount of space. And so I'm going to give it an A. Let me get the Pico Palm over here again and show you. You know, it's the length, it's a little shorter, and the height, if it wasn't for this this thumb screw and these paddles here, it would actually be this almost the same height. And so I think it's a great size and would fit in pretty much anything that you want to take out in the field. When it comes to customer service, this is another area where Begali shines. I mean, just any company generally, aside from it being a Morse code key manufacturer, it's hard to find anybody that would compare with them. I've actually been at Dayton Hamvention, and I've seen several purchases. Brian has purchased right in front of me, and I've talked to Bruna and talked about their policies. In fact, if I could give an A+ grade, I would give them for customer service an A+. The only A+ I would ever give, pretty much at this point, especially for customer service. They just can't be matched. The purchase experience is exceptional. They treat you like a valued customer when you buy it, and then after your purchase, they stand by their product and they will do pretty much anything within reason to ensure that you're happy. Okay, now we come to the one that I'm a little bothered by, but I just need to remain consistent, and that is the enclosure grade. As you recall from previous videos, we give enclosure a pass or a fail based on whether or not it's enclosed and the contacts are protected or not. So this is nothing personal at all against Begali here or its employees, but if the employees of Begali see this, I hope you understand where I'm coming from with this grade. And it's a fail, and primarily one is because we do pass-fail, and I can't give it a pass because there's no enclosure. This series focuses on paddles that can be used in the field and not in the shack, and I know that this may have had the intent of being in the shack and then light portable or light field use. I'm not sure, but one very important design of a field paddle is protecting those contacts from the elements. I know Begali probably didn't intend for the paddles to be thrown in a pack or dropped in the dirt, but for summits on the air especially, this is a real possibility. And that's the focus of these reviews. I'm not reviewing paddles that are from the shack. I'm reviewing paddles that we use out in the field. And so for that, the pass-fail of the enclosure, unfortunately, I'm going to give it a fail. It's pretty much the only grade, maybe one other that I would ding on this. So when it comes to mounting, I mentioned earlier that the two mounting options here, we have the actually several of them, not just these two, but we have KX1, KX2, KX3, FT817, and then the magnetic mount. So definitely an A there. As far as beauty goes, I mean, elegance and beauty is something that's always considered in the design of all of their paddles. You look at the whole line of paddles, they all look great, and so that's going to be an A. So that wraps up my thoughts on this key. So let's get it plugged in and hear it working for us. I appreciate you joining me for another portable Morse Code paddle feature. I appreciate you joining this channel and coming along on another one. And don't forget, this is a series. In a few weeks, I'll have another paddle up for review. I've actually tested now 2 other paddles, just haven't had time to put them up. So in the coming weeks, I'll have another 2 paddles that I have reviewed for you. So come on back and join me again. Thanks for coming, and I'll say 73 to you.